Hey everyone, this is Daniel, and in today's video we're going to look at making Microsoft Forms in Teams. And I want to focus on four very important things. First is creating just a Microsoft form but completely in Teams. Second is creating a poll using Microsoft Forms but in Teams. Third, who all has access to this data? And then finally, where is this data stored? But before we jump into it, first, here's my intro video. So before I jump into building the forms or the poll, I want to look at two specific things, which is two users. I'm going to show both their scenarios. One is the owner of that team, and then the other one is just a regular user. All right, so let me just show that to you. I come over here, I'm going to use a team called Family Health, and I'll pretty much put everything in this discussion channel. So I come over here, I go to Manage Team, and here's me. This is Daniel Christian, I am an owner. And then the other one is going to be Finn Christian, and Finn is a member. But just to give you even some more clarification, let's go just see what Finn has as far as his active users and roles. So I've come over here, this is me as a full global admin. I come in and I come to Finn and I click on Finn and I see, let's take a look to see what all access Finn has. All right, so Finn has, some licenses assigned to some groups, but here's the important thing, no administrator roles. So I intentionally showed this to you just to clear any doubts that you may have. It's like, maybe Finn is able to do this XYZ because he has all this access. No, it's none of that. Finn is an everyday user, and I wanted to do that to set some expectations. All right, so now let's jump into the first thing. What we're going to do is just build now a form. All right, this is an everyday form. In fact, in my previous form videos, you saw me build all these forms in the Microsoft Forms. Over here, we're going to do that in Teams. And to do that, it's actually really simple. So I won't emphasize too much on building all these other fields for the forms, but I'll at least show you how to build it. So right now in my Family Health team, I'm in the discussion channel and I come over here to plus, and there's an option called Add and Tab. And here's are all the favorite apps that I have turned on. Now, if you don't see forms over here, you will have to reach out to your team's administrative team and say that, hey, I'm not seeing Microsoft Forms. Can you go ahead and make that as an approved app? And then after they've done all that, it'll show up over here. But if it already is, then that's great. So now I come over here and click on Forms. And when I click on Forms, it gives me this option. It says that create a shared form that your team can edit and see results, or you want to go ahead and add an existing form. If you want to have an existing form, you can go ahead and select that and you can search for your form and you can pick that. But in the case over here, I want to do create a shared form that your team can edit and see results. So I'll go ahead and say this is a discussion form. I'll click on save. It says post to the channel about this tab. I'll say yes, do that. Going ahead and setting it up. And here it is. It now gives me the option to actually start editing the form. So you see how I went ahead and added that tab? This is to go ahead and edit the form, all right? So kind of keep that in mind because I selected that option over there. I want them to be able to see the edit form. So I come over here and I'm just going to add some choices, how do you feel today? And I'll just put in great. I'll say, meh, going back to bed. All right. Then the other one that I also do is the other one, which is kind of important in this case because it gives you good understanding, is the file upload. Now you see it's something interesting over here. Now if you remember, in the previous ones that I did in Microsoft Forms, over there when I was adding an attachment, the pop-up would come and say that the folder is going to be created in SharePoint. And if you don't believe me, go check those videos out. I put the links down over there. But over here, but over there, when we were saving it, it actually saved it in OneDrive. Now, over here, it's going to save it in SharePoint, the SharePoint that is tied to this team. But this message says a new folder will be created in OneDrive. Now, is that a big problem? I don't think so. Because at the end of the day, it is still all SharePoint. But I just thought that this was a little interesting how it came up. Thought I'll point that out. All right, so I just said that, and I'm going to say, happy face. For the day, and I'll just leave all the defaults and I'll say got it. And so we're actually done over here on the editing of the form. Now if you want to go ahead and now this is basically the section where, if you understand, I've got people in this place over here and we need to edit and build this form together. That is the option that you should select. Is I'm going to go ahead and create the form, share it over here, and we're going to edit this together. Now the next thing that I can do is I can actually come back and I can rename, I can remove it, but I have the other option to come back over here, click on forms, and when I click on the forms, I said add an existing form. And this is where I can go and select that discussion form, the discussion form that I just created. So I'm going to click on the discussion form, and now you've got these options over there. Collect responses, show results, or collaborate. Collaborate is exactly what we just did over here. I can actually click on the collaborate, I click on save, and it'll create the exact same thing. See the discussion form, the edit for the discussion form, it's actually the option called collaborate. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and remove this one because I already have a collaborate tab over there. But I want to go ahead and now add the form again. And in the form, I'm going to select the add an existing form, and I'm going to do the discussion form, but I want to collect responses. So I click on save. And now here it is, go ahead and collecting the responses, all right? So this is a great place. So let's go and start filling out this form and see what magic happens in the back end. So I'll actually do this at both scenarios. I'll do this as me, and then we'll also do this as the everyday user. So how do you feel today? I said, great. I'll go ahead and add a happy face. I don't think I have a happy face. Oh, I got that picture over here. Let's actually put in something interesting. I'm going to put that as which device JPG. So I put that image over here. It's going ahead and uploading it, and I click on submit. Let's also put another entry, all right? Because now I'm going to go in as Finn. Now Finn is over here, and see Finn, even through the browser, which is fantastic how Teams works, through the browser, all the tabs that we added through my desktop in Daniel immediately shows up on the browser. So now Finn is part of the same group, which is tied to the SharePoint list. So he also sees the edit discussion form, also sees the fill discussion form. So let Phil also go ahead and submit something. It says, meh, goes ahead and uploads a picture, which in this case will probably just be mine. So let me go and grab something a little bit more interesting. Yeah, I'll do me, do that, goes ahead and submits it. And this is all happened. It's gone ahead and uploaded. So let's go ahead and now, talk about those two things which I said in the end. Is like, where is the data stored? And then who all has access to it? So I already gave you a little hint, which is this time it's going to be stored in SharePoint, not that OneDrive. So let's look at it first from my angle, okay? Because I am an owner over here. So if anybody should have access, it'll at least be me. But let's check. So I come over here now to Files. When I go to Files, I see this discussion form XLSX already created over here. Now, as you already know, when we talked about in the other Microsoft Forms videos over there, that at the end of the day, the data is always comes in as an Excel spreadsheet. And keep that in mind, it's not an XLS. It is a full-blown XLSX file. And you can see that over here. And it already does that. Now, I know I've heard from some people saying that, man, Daniel, I wish this was a CSV file. Well, that's something that you will have to do. You'll have to download that as an Excel spreadsheet. You'll have to do a save as. But this is what it does. Out of the box, it has gone ahead and done that form over here. But let's go check it out in SharePoint, all right? Because this is the Teams interface showing that. But now actually go and open that in SharePoint. See that in Documents, this is what it did. Like I'm on the SharePoint site tied to that team. But in the Documents, it went and created a folder called Discussion. And you know what Discussion was? Discussion was the team that we created over here. And you can see it was just created. So when I click on that Discussion, they actually came up with a discussion form, which is a few seconds ago. And if I click on that, you can actually see that it'll start showing some data over here. Take both of them, the one that was filled out by me, the one was filled out by Finn, and all our information over here. So that's a pretty interesting thing, all right? But now let's go check to see if Finn has access, because this is one of the scenarios where people come and say, Daniel, you're an owner. So by default, you have access to this. Can we go see if Finn also has access to it? So yeah, let's go check it out. So I come over here. Remember, Finn is part of that team. He is a member of that team. So when I go now and see what access Finn has, we'll find out. So here, same thing. What Daniel as the owner saw, Finn also as a member of the team sees the same thing. But when I open up this link, it takes me to that same SharePoint, and see, Finn also sees that option over there. So again, was in the discussion, able to see that over there. All right. Now, also in Finn, when you go and click on the apps, we click on Microsoft Forms, we click on the discussion form, click on the question, and we are able to see that attachment, which device over here. So that was the attachment that I added over there. Now, this is very similar to Microsoft Forms in general. The only difference was previously we saw it in the OneDrive. In Microsoft Forms, which is directly built inside Teams, it showed up on the SharePoint site that is tied to that Teams, which just makes sense, right? Because then everybody needs to have access to that. So in this case, it showed it up in that SharePoint site over there. But key thing is also, we now know where the data is stored. It is stored in Teams, but also we now know who has access to it. Members of that team have access to this. So that's a very important thing that we've just learned. I've actually gone and created those two, answered those two questions, is that both the owner and the members have access to that. So this was basically an overview of just the general thing of, building the form, who can see the edit, can we edit the forms together inside Teams? Yeah, we can, because we have the option to collaborate. We also had the options to fill out the form together. But I want to show you this one last piece which is available as well. And that is in the plus. When I go over here, go back to the plus, go back to the forms over here, there is this other option as well. And that other option gives me again, for an existing form, the discussion form is to show results. So when I click on show results, like a web address will be created. Anyone with it can view a summary of the responses. So I click on that, and now you will see another option that will show up over here. And right here in the results discussion. So showed you all three options: the collaboration, which is the edit, the taking the survey, which is the fill over here, and then the results also shows up all this information. Now over here, I get asked a question: is that Daniel, how do I get that data, like that Excel spreadsheet? I want to see the results. Is there any other way to go ahead and see that? So the answer to that is yes. And what you can do is you can come directly to that Excel spreadsheet, which is in SharePoint, and you can go see that over there. But you can also go see this inside Microsoft Forms. So let me show that to you as Daniel over here. Actually, you know what? Let's just do it straight through as Finn also. Because remember, Finn's a member, which means member also has that access. So now, again, just to confirm, I've logged in as Finn over here. I'm going to go into, and right here, you can see the recent. So that's the discussion form. So it already showed me right over there. Pretty convenient. Went in and showed that discussion over there. I also see the My Groups over there, but I already see over here. You can also go to all my forms, and you should be able to, it'll show up over here as well. But here's the thing. When I go and click on the form, it shows me that exact same form that we built, but in Microsoft Forms. But this is where I can go and click on the responses, and I can also open an Excel spreadsheet. This is the same spreadsheet that was showed over there. So I like this deep integration that, yes, you can do everything in Teams, but you can also come to Microsoft Forms and see that as you, not the person who made it, which is Daniel, me, but also as the end user. As long as the end user has access to is a member of that team, also can come and look over there. So is it kind of started making sense how this permissions and access works when it comes to Microsoft Forms that is created from Teams? Kind of not started making this sense over here. Same thing that happens from the end user side as well, which is Daniel Christian who did that. I was able to now see the results discussion, which I created as Finn, showed up over here as me as well. And then same thing, if I went ahead and logged in into the Microsoft Forms, I will see that as well. So I can just come over here quickly. Just to confirm this is me, go to Microsoft Forms. I will also be able to see the discussion form that I created over here. All right. So that was a full covering of the first section that I had, is that, the concept of building a full form. How do we go ahead and use the fill, the edit, the results, all of that, basically the collaboration, the filling out the form, and then the final survey over here. Okay, so now what we're going to do is focus our attention on the poll, creating a poll or a quick poll in Microsoft Teams, and that also uses Microsoft Forms. So just to do that, I'm actually going to go ahead and create another channel. And in this channel, I'm going to call that as Quote of the Day. I'll go ahead and add that. And in the ad now, when I go ahead and add a new conversation, that is how you put the quick poll. You don't put it on the plus over there because that's a full form. Over here, you just come down and then you see this option that says Forms. If you don't see it over here, go ahead and click on the ellipses. You'll probably find it over here. But if you don't find it over there as well, then that's where you go and contact your Teams admin. So I click over there, I click on Forms, and in the Forms, this is where you go ahead and create the poll. Now, or quick poll. Now, you see, it's not multiple questions and all the attachment and everything. It is just a quick question that you want to ask your team members, and you can do this on the fly. But this is it, one question. So I'm just going to go ahead and say, quote of the day, and I'll just put in, quote 1. I'll copy and paste that really fast. 2, 3. And then you go and select all of that. Also keep in mind, I'm going to leave the share results automatically after voting. I'm going to keep that checked over there. And now I just go and click on save. So when you click on save, it gives me a preview, and this is going to be a card. So if you're not familiar, a card is basically a section in Microsoft Teams as a full card, and this is what it's going to show up over there. So now I just click on send. Everything looks good. I'm clicking on send, and it does two things. First is it's actually going to display the card of the quick poll. But it also goes ahead and gives me the quick review of the responses. Because remember that little checkbox which I showed in the bottom, that's already checked over there. So let's go ahead and look at it from two ways. Okay, I am going to go ahead and click on quote number 1, and I'll submit it. So once it's submitted, it goes ahead and saving it. As you can see, it's done that, and it automatically even gave me a preview over there. Now let's go and check it out from Elijah on the, go and check it out from Finn directly from the browser. So I come over here, I see that new team is there, I click on the code of the day, and it shows up. So I'm going to now select code 2, click on submit vote, and then automatically it is going ahead and saving it, and it updates it over there. This is awesome because it's going ahead and doing that full update right there on the fly. Now, how do I get this data? Because I have played around with it, I've gone ahead and clicked on it, I don't see a save as anywhere over here. I see a create a new poll or a quick poll, but I don't see that. Now, the only way you can do that is by actually going into Microsoft Forms and going and grabbing it from there. So, and either people can do that, either the person who is, a member or the person who is, over here. So I can go ahead and now code of the day, which is in the SharePoint list over there. I can go ahead and grab that information, from here. I can go and grab that information from here. No. Now I can come to the SharePoint and I see that, okay, it has a code of the day folder. It created a few seconds ago. Let me just go and refresh it just to make sure I don't lose anything. I'll click on that and I don't really see anything over here. So what I have to do is I still have to go into my Microsoft Forms to grab that. So I click on that, click on Forms, and in my Microsoft Forms, I can actually look for that code of the day. So it does take a while for it to show up over here. Sometimes you got to be very specific. You go into your family groups over there, or you can click on all my forms, and there you go. Code of the day showed up over here. So I click on the code of the day, and this is the familiar territory, right? So it says the quick poll is read only, so you can't edit over here, but when you come to responses, that's where you go ahead and open it in an Excel spreadsheet. So it gives you that option of save as. This is the only place where you can go ahead and get that data of all the quick polls that you did inside Teams over there, right? There was no option in Teams to do it. It was right over here inside the forms. And you had to be either the owner of the team or the member of that team to have access to come over here. And the same thing happens on the fly with the members over here as well. Now I want to end by showing you another technique, which is when you create a meeting. So now I come over here on the Teams, and now I'm going to go ahead and create a meeting. So let's say I'm creating a new meeting. And in a new meeting, I'm going to, call this as, touch point meeting. We'll call, let's say it is, it's going to be, in fact, let's just say the meeting's already begun. All right. And I can, for that, I'll go ahead and invite Finn over there. And then when you come over here, you can actually go on this chat. You see that one little section? You click on chat over here. And once you're in the chat, click on the plus. And then from here on, it's almost the same, except for this one little change. So I'm going to go over here and say, click on the add. Goes ahead and as it, puts that new information in. And then you start going ahead and say, yep, I'm going to go and create the poll. Creating a poll before or during the meeting collects responses in real time. So click on the save. And now you go and create that poll only tied to that meeting. So I create a new poll. And then, was the meeting useful? And then select all the suggestions. I'll say, yeah, yes, no, maybe. And then share results automatically after voting. Keep responses anonymous. Allow others to co-author. So I'll just leave that default as is. I click on save. And then here's the important thing. Right now, it is in the draft mode. So what I can do is I can go ahead and launch it. Or I can wait and say that, okay, at some point I'm going to go ahead and go ahead and launch it. So now let's keep this as is. Okay, I've saved it in the draft mode over here. I won't launch it yet, but let's go and join the meeting. So I've gone ahead now into my back into my Teams over here. I'm going to go into my calendar. Let me go and say that the meeting, I'm going to go and join it. Yep, everything is good. I've gone ahead and joined it. But you see that option over there? There is now the polls. I'm pretending like somebody else is going to join, but I'm going to click on polls, and in polls, the option for the form that we just created shows up over here. So as a good test, let's go back in over here. Let's go to the calendar. This is as Finn. So Finn is now going to go ahead and join. Yeah, go ahead and allow that. May not allow because it's the same person doing everything. Yep. Gone ahead and joined. Connecting. Go ahead and mute that. Click on the chat. So far, don't see anything over here. Come back to come back to my teams, and I'm going to click on launch. Launch means it is live. So you see immediately over here, it showed up on the other users as well. So they can go ahead and click on yes, submit, gives them a live overview of what's going on. And then when I come in to my side, I can go ahead and do the same. Yes. I have the option now to, see all the options over there. And then I can go ahead and close the poll. So I have full control over this as well. So what we did was to show it. Let me go and click leave. So that changes over there. So what I did was I even showed you the third option of how all of this was saved. And then finally, we can always come over here inside that and go and grab all the poll information as well. Remember that quick discussion that we did over the forms we did over here? We were able to go and grab the polls one over here. All that information can be grabbed directly inside the forms as well, as long as you have access to that. And to go ahead and even get the polls, the live polls where we had the draft and the live, to do that, I can go straight back into my forms over here. It shows up sometimes in the recent, but what I do is I come over here to all my forms. When I click on all my forms, that's where it was. Was the meeting useful? I click on it, it'll probably tell me, yep, and it did, that the quick poll is read only, so you can't edit it. But this is the important one. You want to go on responses, and that is where you can go and export all the data of that quick poll that you did, so you have a copy of it. So as a quick recap, we saw how Microsoft Forms can be built directly inside Teams, but we looked at it from different levels. We went and saw how a full form can be built directly inside Teams with multiple questions, attachments, also saw where the data is stored, who all has access to it. But then we also did the polls. But we looked at the polls two different ways. Directly a live poll during a regular day, which is directly into a channel, depending on which channel you want. But we also did the polls when the meeting is there. And I showed you how to do that. You go into the calendar, in the calendar's chat, you click on the plus sign up over there, and that's where you help to go ahead and create the draft of the poll. And then when the meeting is started, you will see a new section for forms over there. And that form, you can actually go ahead and do a live. So in the live, it's capturing all the data, going ahead and collecting everything, and then you can go ahead and close it. But then you got to go back into Microsoft Forms to actually grab that data. So all the information is there, and hopefully this was helpful to you. And as always, keep using Microsoft Forms.